My name is Sophia. I am 39 years old, a mother, and a survivor of many heartbreaks. People say love has seasons, and that my season ended the day my husband walked out of our marriage. They said I was too old, too used, too broken to be desired again. I would hear the whispers, "Auntie Sophia," a woman past her prime, a woman who should focus on raising her child and stop dreaming of romance. Every word was like a needle piercing my skin. I would laugh on the outside, but every night I cried into my pillow, wondering if maybe they were right. I told myself I didn't need love. I buried myself in work, in church, in raising my little girl. I built strong walls around my heart, so strong that even I started to believe no one could climb them. Then came Michael, young, vibrant, 27, a man who could have had anyone his age. The first time I met him, he was charming, playful, the type that lit up a room. But I overheard him once boldly telling his friends, "Older women are too dramatic. I can never date one." Those words cut me deeply, though I pretended not to care. It was a reminder that men like him weren't made for women like me. But life has a way of laughing at us, because the same man who claimed he was allergic to older women kept showing up in my life. At work as a junior colleague, at church during rehearsals, even at my daughter's school on a Saturday event. And every time his eyes met mine, something passed between us, something I couldn't explain. It scared me, it thrilled me, it made me feel alive in ways I hadn't felt in years. But I told myself, "No, Sophia, don't be foolish. He's young, he's only being kind. Don't mistake attention for love." Still, every time he smiled at me, the walls I had built began to tremble. Michael had this way of looking at me, not like I was old, not like I was broken, not like someone left behind. He looked at me as though he was a mystery he wanted to solve. It started with small things. At work, he would always volunteer to help me with tasks that weren't even his responsibility. During lunch, while everyone sat in their little groups, he would find his way to my table and ask me about my day, about my daughter, about my dreams. At first, I kept pushing him away a canter. "Michael, go and sit with your friends. You shouldn't waste your time on me," I would say. And he would just laugh, that boyish laugh of his, and reply, "Sophia, I'm exactly where I want to be." Those words, they scared me. They thrilled me. They made my heart pound in ways I hadn't allowed in years. One evening, after a church rehearsal, it rained heavily. Everyone rushed out with their umbrellas, but I had forgotten mine. As I stood by the door, debating if I should just run to the car, Michael appeared beside me, holding his umbrella wide. He said softly, "I'll walk you." The walk to the car was short, but in that moment it felt like eternity. The sound of the rain, the closeness of his body, the warmth of his hand brushing against mine by accident. My heart was betraying me. When we reached the car, I turned to thank him, but instead of words, I saw something in his eyes. Something raw, something unspoken. I panicked. I quickly muttered "good night" and drove off like a woman running from fire. That night, I couldn't sleep. My mind replayed every detail, his smile, his voice, his nearness. And then came the guilt. I was a mother, a mature woman. He was young, free, full of life. Society had already condemned women like me for even dreaming of such things. I scolded myself, "Sophia, don't be ridiculous. You're old enough to know better. Don't let loneliness fool you." But in the silence of the night, with my daughter fast asleep in the next room, I admitted something to myself. I was falling for him, and I didn't know how to stop. Before Michael's presence in my life became so undeniable, There was another man, an older man. Let me call him Mr. Kelvin. He was everything society said I should want. A widower in his 50s, financially stable, respected in church, always quick to quote scripture. People often teased us when we stood next to each other. "Sophia, this one looks like your macho," they would say with playful winks. At first, I thought maybe God had finally answered my prayers. He would call often, check up on me, even bring little gifts for my daughter. He said things like, "A woman like you deserves care, Sophia. You've suffered enough." And for a moment, I allowed myself to believe him. But one evening, everything became clear. He invited me for dinner at his house. I thought it was just fellowship, maybe a chance to discuss the future seriously. Instead, after the meal, he leaned too close and whispered, "You know, Sophia, you're too beautiful to be wasting your time being alone. A woman has needs. Let me take care of those needs." I froze. My spoon clattered against the plate. I managed to ask him, "Kelvin, what exactly are you offering me?" He smiled in a way that made my stomach turn. "Don't pretend, Sophia. You know what I mean. Marriage is a heavy thing, but companionship, that's lighter. You're mature enough to understand." In that moment, the scales fell from my eyes. This man who I thought was a safe option didn't see my worth, didn't see my heart. He only saw my body. I stood up, holding back tears, and said firmly, "Mr. Kelvin, I am not a leftover. If you cannot honor me with marriage, please never call me again." Driving home that night, I cried bitterly. It wasn't the rejection that hurt. It was the realization of how many men looked at women like me as nothing more than a passing thrill. And it was then, almost ironically, that my heart remembered Michael. His laughter, his patience, his way of listening without judgment. Unlike Kelvin, Michael didn't chase me for my body. He saw me, my scars, my insecurities, my soul. The contrast was glaring and dangerous, because now, every time Michael smiled at me, I felt the walls around my heart weakening even more. When Michael and I finally admitted to ourselves what our hearts had been screaming all along, it felt like heaven had opened. For the first time in years, I laughed like a girl again. His hand in mine felt like sunlight after endless nights of storm. But the moment our decision became public, the storms returned, this time fiercer than before. The whispers began in the choir stand first. "Have you heard? Sister Sophia and that small boy Michael," followed by knowing chuckles. Then one Sunday, the pastor called me aside after service. His tone was gentle but laced with judgment. "Sophia, you know you are a mother. You have responsibilities. Michael is still a child in many ways. This is not proper. It would distract him from his future." I listened silently, but my heart bled. Even the women in the church who were once my prayer partners pulled me aside to scold me. "You should be guiding him, not entangling him. Do you want to ruin his destiny?" At the market, people looked at us with disapproving eyes. One hissed so loudly when Michael held my hand that day. "Shameless!" she spat. I wanted to shrink, to hide, but Michael, oh Michael, he would just smile, squeeze my hand tighter and whisper, "Ignore them. They don't know what we share." Yet the pressure was undeniable. Even my closest friends warned me, "Sophia, be wise. People will never accept this. Do you want to live under constant shame?" At night, alone in my room, I cried bitterly. I loved Michael, but I feared the world. I feared what it meant to build a life in the shadow of gossip, rejection, and ridicule. Michael came one evening, his face set, his jaw tight. "Sophia, I don't care what anyone thinks. I want you. I choose you. If we let people dictate our love, we'll lose it before it even starts." His words were fire, but the ashes of rejection around me were heavy, could love survive when the whole world, even the church, stood against it? I didn't know, but I knew one thing. The war between my heart and my fears was about to reach its breaking point. The rejection had reached its peak. I could not step into church without eyes piercing through me like sharp daggers. Even the pastor preached one Sunday about strange loves that destroy destinies. Though my name was never mentioned, everyone knew who the sermon was about. I sat in the pew, trembling, my palms damp with sweat, while Michael sat beside me, his eyes burning with quiet fury. That night, I almost told him it was over. I almost sacrificed my heart on the altar of public approval. But as I sat on my bed sobbing into my pillow, Michael stormed in without knocking. His shirt was wrinkled, his face tense.
"Sophia," he said, his voice shaking but strong. "If you want to end this because you no longer love me, tell me to my face and I will walk away. But if you love me, then stop letting the world make decisions for us." I opened my mouth, but only sobs came out. I confessed in tears, "Michael, I love you so much it hurts, but I can't carry the shame. Even the church, our supposed refuge, has turned against me." Michael knelt before me, his hands clutching mine. "Sophia, listen to me. The church is full of men and women. They see with human eyes. But love, real love, comes from God. He joined our hearts long before their tongues rose against us. I will not lose you, Sophia. Not to them, not to anyone." His words pierced me deeper than any sermon. The next Sunday, we walked into church together, hand in hand. Gasps filled the hall. The pastor's face hardened, but Michael whispered, "Hold your head high." And I did. For the first time, I did not let shame bow me. But the real test came a week later. I received a letter from the Women's Fellowship stripping me of leadership roles because of my unholy relationship. My hands trembled as I read, but when I showed Michael, he tore the letter into pieces and hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. In his embrace, I realized something powerful. The world might strip me of titles, but it could never strip me of the love I had found. And so, we made a vow, not to fight the world, but to build our own. We decided to leave that church, start fresh somewhere else, and grow our love without the chains of judgment. As I look back now, I see the lesson clearly. Love will always be tested by people, by opinions, by fear, but love that is true will endure the fire and come out purer. To every wife listening, you can forgive. Love is stronger than shame. To every husband, don't think cheating or society's voice should define your marriage. A woman's emotional suffering runs deep, and only love and change can heal it. Michael taught me something no one else could. Sometimes the world has to lose for love to win. And that is why, even today, when people ask me if I regret loving a man younger than me, I smile through the scars and say, no, because love taught me courage. If you stayed with me to the end of this story, thank you. I hope it touched your heart the way it touched mine. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more emotional stories. Until next time, remember, love is not about age, status, or people's opinions. Love is about courage.